Hey everyone, this is Blairbot. Today I want to talk about the history of Shiny Pokemon in the Pokemon card game. Now recently there's been a lot of hype around the Pokemon card game, specifically about the original base set and early sets and sets involving base set, including evolutions. So a lot of that really old nostalgic hype is sort of coming back, which is cool to see. Another thing that has been hyped up a lot recently is the Champion's Path set, and one of the reasons for that is the inclusion of a shiny Charizard V. So there has been a bunch of different shiny Pokemon in the card game, so I thought it would be fun to sort of see how they've changed over the years and kind of how they've led us to where we are today. So the first shiny Pokemon in the card game were in the Neo Revelation set, and they were the duo of Shining Magikarp and Shining Gyarados. I'd really like to put these on something. There, that'll work. You can see my reflection in it. Okay, I won't move too much. Okay, so these were the first two Pokemon released in the trading card game that represented shiny Pokemon, and they were called Shining. At the time that shiny Pokemon were introduced, they weren't actually called Shiny at the start. I believe Shiny was sort of a fan-made term that was eventually officially adopted, but at the time they called them Shining. So these were the first two, and these were both secret rares in Neo Revelation and featured a regular hollow foil pattern, which you can, let me take this out, which you can see here. You can see there's the regular Galaxy foil hollow pattern on these cards. So at the time, they were just typical secret rares. Now, there weren't many secret rares back in this era of Pokemon. I believe these might have been some of the first alongside the Dark Raichu from Team Rocket. So yeah, that gets you a better view. So these were just typical hollow cards that featured shiny Pokemon, and these were the first attempt to actually do this in the card game. The next time they did this was in the following set, Neo Destiny. They include some more shining Pokemon. These were a little bit different. These were also secret rares. These featured a triple star for the rarity, whereas the previous ones were simply a normal star. And these also featured a brand new pattern, which was that the Pokemon itself was the only part that was hollow. The background was not, and a very special texture, so you can see it very nicely on this Steelix. So these were the very first Pokemon that were shiny that were featured in the card game. Now for the first set of shining Pokemon, you can sort of see on this booklet here, there was a few that they did. So they did Celebi, Charizard, anyway, all of these. So these are all the ones that they did. And these Gyarados and Magikarp, the first two, were the only ones that didn't feature that hollow foil pattern. So this sort of started the trend of making shiny Pokemon be secret rares and made them stand out as more desirable. Starting in the EX era, they decided to switch things up a little bit, and they created the Gold Star card. Now, Gold Stars were a little bit different than the Shinings. First of all, the name itself had a foil star symbol, and I should mention that Gold Star is also technically a fan term. It would actually be Celebi Star, I think. They also had hollow foil around all the borders of inside the card as well, which was a unique thing. But these cards didn't feature any actual difference in the hollow foil pattern. It's the typical Galaxy hollow. Another thing that they all did was they all featured Pokemon whose art was drawn by this artist, Masakazu Fukuda, and they all featured Pokemon whose pictures leave the borders. So all of these similar traits you can see on these gold stars. You can see the edges of the Pokemon escape the borders, the same artist, the same holo foil around all the borders, and the same galaxy holo, and the same shiny star in the name. Now, Delta species were also interesting because for Delta species, Pokemon were represented as a different type. So one of the popular ones is a steel and electric type Charizard. And there's many of these types of Pokemon. The 3 Delta species gold stars are Gyarados, Charizard, and Mew. And what's interesting is they are all represented by the type that is the color of their shiny Pokemon. So red Gyarados is red, so it was represented as a fire type. Shiny Charizard is black, and it was represented as a darkness type. And shiny Mew is blue, and it was represented as a water type. So those were all some very unique things that were done for shiny Pokemon in the EX series, which was the 3rd generation of Pokemon. Moving on to the 4th generation, they did something very different for shinies. In the previous iterations, shiny Pokemon were typically reserved for either iconic or strong Pokemon. So starters, legendaries, Gyarados being the first one, things like that. For Diamond and Pearl, the shiny Pokemon were various basic Pokemon, excluding one in particular, which is Milotic, but in general, all of these shiny Pokemon that were in the Diamond and Pearl era were basic. They featured Pokemon in different artwork and positions than the original version of this card that was in the set. So, for example, this Drifloon is from Diamond and Pearl Stormfront. There is another Drifloon in Diamond and Pearl Stormfront, which is the exact same as this, although it has different artwork. And these only come in reverse holo and are labeled as a subset SH. So Drifloon is SH1, Voltorb, which is also from Stormfront, is SH3, and Ponyta, which is from Platinum Arceus, is SH11. And there are 12 of these in total, and they span 4 sets. So it went Diamond Pearl Stormfront, Platinum, Rising Rivals, Supreme Victors, and Arceus. And of those 5 sets, 4 of them had shiny, other than Rising Rivals. And these shinies were also interesting. As I mentioned, they only came in the reverse holo slot. So if you didn't know what you were looking for, it would be very easy to miss it. So these are how shiny Pokemon were handled in the Diamond and Pearl and Platinum era. Next, we move on to the Heart Gold Soul Silver era. In this era, the first shiny Pokemon was Gyarados, which, you know, Gyarados is the most popular shiny Pokemon, being the first to introduce, so that makes sense. But this is a very unique Gyarados because it is standalone. It is the only shiny Pokemon that was released in the Heart Gold Soul Silver series, excluding the next set, which is kind of a special case. But what they did for this Gyarados, as you can see, is 123 out of 123. This was the last card in the Heart Gold Soul Silver main set, and it came as a holo and reverse holo. So it was basically treated as a normal holo in the set, although it was numbered late in the set. It was, I guess, an experiment on their part to add in another secret rare to the set, but it was kind of interesting that they only did it for this card and only in the first set of the Heart Gold Soul Silver era. There actually isn't another case of a shiny that's like this one. However, later in the Heart Gold Soul Silver era, in the Call of Legends set, they introduced some more shiny Pokemon. These would be the shiny legendaries. So Call of Legends was the last set of the Heart Gold Soul Silver era, but it wasn't technically a Heart Gold Soul Silver set because it didn't have Heart Gold Soul Silver in the name. It was just called Call of Legends. The card borders themselves are of the Heart Gold Soul Silver era, and the Pokemon that appear in the sets are from Heart Gold Soul Silver, so it is effectively a Heart Gold Soul Silver set. But what made these cards interesting was that they used the card frame from the Prime cards, which is the full holo border, and they put shiny legendaries on them. So this one in particular is a promo. This is a Heart Gold Soul Silver promo. And there is a set of 3 tins which contain Entei, Raikou, and Suicune as these shiny hollows. Now, in the Call of Legends set themselves, Entei, Raikou, and Suicune appear again with different artwork alongside 8 other legendaries for a total of 11. These fulfilled the role of Prime, so they showed up in the reverse slot. And like I said, there are 11 of them. So what these are is these are typical Prime cards with shiny Pokemon. So they have the holofoil star rarity as well. And in the normal set, there are normal versions of these legendaries as well. So the main difference between these is the Prime border and the unique artwork. So this wraps it up for the Heart Gold Soul Silver era. Moving on to the Black and White era, they decided to do something similar to what they did with Gold Stars, which is to, at a certain point in the era, introduce shiny Pokemon as secret rare cards. Now, I should mention that Gold Star cards were technically included in the numbering of the main set, and these ones are not. So these are alternate art Pokemon that had appeared in the main set. The main difference of these are, I guess, threefold. First of all, they have a symbol of the energy that they are etched into the card. So this Superior is a grass type, obviously, so it has that. It has a special description here, and they're all the same. It says, this extremely rare Pokemon is a different color than usual and is very hard to find. And the foiling is textured as well. So there's a little dent on the sleeve, so let me just take it out. So you can see that there is a textured pattern going all around it, and the Pokemon itself has some texture on it too. Other than that, these are all reprints of cards that were either deemed popular or playable, I believe. For example, one of the shinies from Black and White is Execute, which was a very popular card in the Black and White era, and which is what got it its shiny reprint. So typically that's how they were chosen for other cards. Now, one thing that's interesting about this Superior is that it was from Dragons Exalted, which was the second set that did shinies in the Black and White era. And if you look at these shinies from later in the Black and White era, you'll see one key difference, and that is the border. So this Superior does not have a special border, but this Dusknoir and Charizard do. At a certain point with these shinings, they gave them all a gold border, which is another very telling sign that these cards are special. And that's something I think they really tried to do with shiny cards, is make them all look as special as possible. So it's the same thing. It has the energy, the texturing, the text box, but now it just has a nice gold border. And that definitely makes the shinies a lot more striking, I think. Same with this Dusknoir. Now, these shinies were also included alongside gold energies for the first time. So those were the two ways that they did secret rares in the Black and White era, and these are how they did shinies. So starting in the XY era, they started to add shinies in a little bit more than they had before. This is sort of similar to what happened in the actual video games, where up until this point, shinies were 1 out of 8,192, and then when X and Y era came along, shinies were halved to 1 in 4096. So they started to add more shinies. The first thing that they started to do was give Pokemon shiny reprints. So, for example, this Yveltal EX is a tin promo, and is the exact same card as this Yveltal EX, but they decided to give it an alternate art shiny promo and release it. So this Yveltal in particular is no better than the original, obviously, and it's not even rarer than the original because it was a tin promo, the same as this Xerneas. Another example of this is this Rayquaza, which this Rayquaza was also another promo, but they made it an additional promo as shiny. So what I'm trying to say is that shinies in general were not allocated to a specific format. They just decided to make them in whatever form that they wanted. Some of the other examples of shinies that they included in the XY era were in Ancient Origins, where they included secret rare versions of Primal Groudon Kyogre and Mega Rayquaza in their shiny variants. These were sort of one-off things that were only found in that set. They also decided to represent Shiny Gyarados again in Breakpoint, where Gyarados EX and Mega Gyarados EX were two of the mascots of the set. And they just decided to make Gyarados be its shiny variant for some reason, although it wasn't any more rare or any different than the regular EXs or Mega EXs in the set. What they decided to do after this was actually make a set around shinies, and this set was Steam Siege. The unique format that they did for Steam Siege was they made dual-type Pokemon, which hadn't been seen for a while. I believe the last time before this was in the Delta Species era. So they decided to make Pokemon dual-type, and if they did so, they gave them shiny coloration. So this Azumarill in the set was just an uncommon. This is not even a rare card, but it's a shiny, so you can kind of see how shinies have changed just from this card alone. But alongside that, they had certain holos and rares in the set, which also followed the patterns, such as the Bisharp. Now, the EXs in this set, the ones that were dual type, also followed the same pattern. So this Mega Steelix is shiny, and this Mega Gardevoir is also shiny. The only Pokemon this does not apply for is Volcanion, who was the mascot of Steam Siege. They made him a dual type, but he was not shiny. So this was something they only did for the non-Volcanion Pokemon, basically. So Mega Gardevoir was, shiny Mega Gardevoir was the other main example of a shiny Pokemon in that set. And something else that's interesting to note is that Mega Pokemon evolved from their regular version EX. So this Mega Steelix evolves from a Steelix EX. Now, what they did was they made a Steelix EX, but it wasn't shiny. So the only way that you could actually play this Mega Steelix was to evolve it from a non-shiny, which is a very interesting thing that they did. So you can kind of see how at this point in the game, they just decided to make Pokemon shiny if they felt like it. Like kind of the same with Pawniard and Marill. There was no shiny Pawniard and no shiny Marill in Steam Siege, so you would just have a shiny when you evolved up into it. So anyway, this kind of shows how things started to shift in the XY era. Moving on to Sun and Moon, they did do something similar to what I mentioned before, where you would have cards that were printed and then just reprinted as shiny. So this Selvali, this one is from Ultra Prism, and this was a promo. This was actually originally printed in Crimson Invasion, but this print is from Ultra Prism. And they just reprinted it as shiny in a box. And it's the same with this Darkrai GX. They printed it in Burning Shadows, I believe, and this shiny just came in a box. So this follows the same trend of what I was showing from the shiny Pokemon in the X and Y era. But eventually they decided to bring back the original shining Pokemon that existed at the start of the game. So in particular, these actually follow all of the traits from the original. Other than having the triple star, it has a single star, but it has shining in the name, and the Pokemon itself is the only part that is shiny, not the background, and it has a unique texture pattern. So it might not be as easy to see as it was on the original. It is not quite as striking as the original foil, I will admit. Those ones that were created back in those days were very impressive to look at, and these ones do look nice, but okay, that's probably the best way you're going to see it. So there were 9 of the modern day shinings, and 3 of those were promos, and 6 of them were available in the set. So this came out in the set Shining Legends, and it was all made around these specific Shining Pokemon. And due to the popularity of this set, the Pokemon Company definitely knew that Shiny Pokemon were very popular. So what did they decide to do for their next attempt at Shinies? Well, this is probably something that most people know of by now. They brought in Hidden Fates. And Hidden Fates is well known as one of the best sets in the modern era. They printed 94 Shiny Pokemon, and some of these are GXs, some of them are regular. If we look at some of these regular ones, these regular Shinies have texture going on the lines behind the Pokemon. Their name does not include shining or anything, so these are different from the actual Shinings. They have sparkles all around them. For the typical ones, they don't have a shiny star. They appeared in the reverse holo slot. And all of the basic Shinies, such as these, the GXs, are all brand new artwork. They are all reprints, as you can see with the A. This Viper is a reprint from Burning Shadows, and the Rowlet is a reprint from Sun and Moon base set. But they were all given brand new artwork and appeared in the reverse holo slot of a Hidden Fates pack. For the GXs themselves are not new artwork. They are recolors of the full arts that existed. So this Metagross is a promo, I believe, is a reprint of the Metagross from Guardians Rising, and it was not given new artwork. Like I said, they just recolored it and added the same shiny stars around it. So with Hidden Fates being such a popular set, they've reprinted it time after time in modern day, and it's proven to be quite popular. Now, the next set that is coming out is a new version of Hidden Fates for the Sword and Shield era. You can see if I put some images on screen of what the new shinies are going to look like. In addition, the shiny Charizard V that we got from Champion's Path is presumably going to be included in that set. Starting in Sword and Shield Rebel Clash, the newest era of shinies have begun to appear, which are gold reprints of certain Pokemon in the sets featured as full art gold shiny Pokemon. These reprints are of Pokemon that are currently Galar exclusive and are maybe a bit more used in the card game. I'm not entirely sure about that. But they are given brand new full art forms with new artwork. So really, what can we see over the way that shinies have changed from this to what they were at the start, which is this? Well, I think we can see the way they've changed is the way that Pokemon in general has changed. Flashier, mega full art texture. This is the kind of thing that Pokemon in general has had to change as it has evolved over the years. It would be nice to say that seeing something like a shiny Gyarados pulled out of the pack could be appreciated by most people, but I think that now that they've gone to the full art style of cards with having as much flashy, shiny, textury things as possible, that's probably how we're going to see them move along with this nowadays. So anyway, this has been a brief look at how shiny Pokemon have been represented over the years in the card game. And I think it's pretty interesting to see how they've changed over the past 20 years. So yeah, that's it. This has been BlairBot. Thanks for watching.